Okay, today I'm going to talk about this document from cisco.com, and the title is Sample Configuration for BGP with two different service providers or ISPs. So this kind of setup is called multi-homing. So let me read the introduction here. BGP is, or Border Gateway Protocol. BGP is one of the key protocols to use to achieve internet connection redundancy. When you connect your network to two different ISPs, it is called multi-homing. Multi-homing provides redundancy and network optimization. It selects the ISP which offers the best path to a resource. When you are running BGP with more than one service provider, you run the risk that your autonomous system, AS, will become a transit AS. This causes internet traffic to pass through your AS and potentially consume all of the bandwidth and resources on the CPU of your router. So this document addresses this issue and with appropriate configuration examples. So we see that yeah, it's got prerequisites as well, which you can also check out. And it's got background information. So if you want to receive the full internet routing, you can use this example here, configuration to receive full internet routing table on your local router. So router A in the examples in this document. And if you want to receive routes that are directly connected to your providers, but choose default routes to the rest of the internet, try the configuration to receive directly connected routes. I'm actually gonna do all these examples. And the third one is if you want to receive all default routes from the directly connected service providers, use the configuration to receive default routes only. And yeah, it's got uh, it's got some regular expressions here in this document, and you can actually check this link here to learn more about regular expressions in BGP. And this is the configuration part. And we got a diagram here, network diagram. And I have this same topology or diagram in GNS3 here. Um, Almost the same diagram actually, but here I just kind of uh, arranged it a little bit. So ISP1, ISP2, and R1. And usually the R1 is usually the customer router. Okay, so yeah, in this network diagram, these subnets are advertised by AS300 to the outside, so meaning to both ISP1 and ISP2. Okay, so this is it says in the background information configuration to receive full internet routing table. That would be this one. And number two is configuration to receive directly connected routes, which is this here. And the third one is configuration to receive default routes only, which is the third and last one here. Okay, so let me start with this configuration configuration to or this part configuration to receive full internet routing table. So like I said, I mean I have the same document, or not the same document, same configuration here, almost the same configuration. And this is, of course, from that document. I just copied it here. Okay, so let's start R1. Um, I have configured the basic BGP configuration, so that part is done. You know, the is here, and actually I already done this part because this is basically you are filtering the routes coming from ISP1 and ISP2. But I'm going to show you the configuration here. So route map, let me route map, because I have just followed this. Um, IPAS path. For some reason it can't. There we go. So here, this part is done. So this is um, this means that the router will only send the prefixes which are generated locally in AS300 in this case, and not from any other AS. So R1 will only advertise or send prefixes generated locally, not from either R1, I mean AS100 or AS200. So that's how you make sure that your router is not, I mean ISPs are not using your AS as a transit. And that's actually what we talked about earlier here, transit AS. Okay, yeah, I was trying to follow the configuration. Yeah, so I just basically copy and pasted the configurations on router one, at least for this part. And then I created a route map and matching the AS path, AS path access list here. And then I applied the route map to both neighbors. So dot two, and this here is ISP1 and this here is ISP2, as you can see here in the topology. Well, I did not specify the IP addresses, but let me actually do it now. Dot two, and this is dot two, and this is dot one. This is dot one. So going back to the configuration here. So dot two, 10.10.10.2 is ISP1, and 20.20.20.2 is ISP2. 20.20.20.2, yeah. So the only thing that, I mean, we are just filtering outbound traffic in this case. Yeah, just to, like I said earlier, just to avoid ISPs to make to make AS300 as a AS as a transit. So that's done actually. So we're not, I mean, this part is done. So we are not filtering any inbound traffic. So you can also verify that in the configurations. So no inbound policy. So if I do just to verify the configuration, yeah, so Of course, these networks or prefixes are originated locally on this router. So you can see the next hop there, all zeros. And if we go to ISP1, let me also do show IP route. Yeah, because these prefixes are actually on the loopback interfaces, so you will not see it in the routing table because the connected routes are preferred. Let me show you the show IP interface brief output as well here. But if you go to ISP1, show IP BGP, you will see that the next hop is for these routes or prefixes is R1, and that should be the same in the routing table. Yes. Let me go to ISP2. Same. This is R1, and this is R1. Yeah. So this part is done. Okay, so let me go to item number 2, which is configuration to receive directly connected routes. So it says here, if you want to receive routes that are directly connected to your service providers or ISPs, but use default routes to the rest of the internet. So this is what we are doing with this part. Okay, so outbound policy is the same with item number 1. Oops. So we are only permitting routes that are generated locally, it says here in AS300. But we are filtering routes inbound. So coming from both ISP1 and ISP2. And we can see that because of these configurations here, see in. And okay, let me do this configuration on R1. Okay, this part is done. So I'm gonna start with here. Oh, sorry, that's number 3. Okay, I'm gonna start with this configuration. So this means that we are only permitting, says here, I can just show it to you here. This access list and route map filter out anything that is not sourced from the first service provider network. Use it to filter the routes that are learned from service provider. And same here from ISP2. Okay, let me just continue with the configuration. So created the AS path access list, matching it using that route map. You can just copy paste. Then this is the one that is applied on ISP2, and you can actually see it here. You can actually see. Sorry, it's a bit here. Okay. So this route map is applied to ISP1 inbound here, and this route map is applied to ISP2 here, inbound as well. So incoming policy route map that filters routes from ISP1 and ISP2. Let me actually do this here. Let me go to the BGP configuration. Done. And then done. Oops. That's not correct. Okay, and we also need to uh, configure default routes. We can also see it here in this document. You also need two default routes that are distributed back into the rest of the network, one pointed to each of the service provider entry points. Uh, this is because we are filtering routes uh, that are coming from the service providers. Let me exit. Okay. Okay, save. Of course, we're not really advertising routes from the advertising routes into our R1 from the ISPs. At least we have not configured it. Yeah. But yeah, we see this. We see that we have this default route pointing to ISP1 and ISP2, and like it said in the document, um, we should only receive routes coming from ISPs that are sourced from them. If the route is not sourced from the ISPs, we will not receive it, or R1 will not receive it because of this IP of this AS path access list and the route map. Okay. Third one is last but not least configuration to receive default routes only. So let me remove the inbound policy because we have a different uh, inbound policy with this configuration example. 300, gonna remove this. Also this. And let me just explain this part. So in this scenario, we have created, or we will create this prefix list, and it's matching the default route basically. And we apply this prefix list inbound to the ISPs. So you can see it here. The name of the prefix list is ABC. Let me do the configuration, and of course I have this configuration here in my notepad. So I will just copy and paste. Okay, and apply the prefix list into the neighbor, to the neighbor. No, that's not right. Also this one. Okay. Um, Example number 3 is done. So I can just verify the BGP. Of course, we're not learning any routes from the ISPs, so that's why we see 0 here. uh, and yeah, so in this case, we are just filtering. And of course, like I said already, we are now receiving, in reality, or in this lab, we're now receiving default routes from the ISPs. But in real world, we should be receiving one, at least one. So yeah, this is the static routes that we configured earlier with example number 2. We can actually just delete them. Let me delete them because we're done with example number 2. Okay, let me verify the configuration. Okay, and the prefix list. Yeah, done. So let me go back to the document. Yeah, same. Yeah, we can also, it says here, we can just verify the configurations using these commands, show commands. All right, yeah, that that's all. We're done. So that's all I wanna just talk about in this video.